Now in Chapter 7, we're going to look at fire and smoke protection features, and we're mainly only going to look at a couple of tables in Chapter 7. Doesn't mean that's the only thing you're responsible for, but it's the only thing that we have seen that you would be. So just keep in mind, Chapter 7, fire and smoke protection features. Now, the two tables that we're going to look at are for firewalls and for fire barriers. So I thought it would be advantageous for us to look at the definition. A fire barrier, we go back to Chapter 2, a fire-resistant rated wall assembly of materials designed to restrict the spread of fire in which continuity is maintained. Okay, that's a wall assembly designed to restrict the spread of fire in which continuity is maintained. Okay, now it's interesting, under firewall though, much more detailed explanation and much more stringent as well. A firewall is a fire-resistant rated wall having protected openings, okay, which restricts the spread of fire and extends continuously from the foundation to or through the roof with sufficient structural stability under fire conditions to allow collapse of construction on either side without collapse of the wall. Well, that's pretty heavy duty. All right, so it gives you an idea what we're talking about here anyway. That's kind of was the point of that. And what we're going to look at here is a table, and this is the table that you need to highlight right here, this table 706.4, which talks about firewalls. Once again, now this is where you really need to know your use and occupancy classifications again, okay? So you're going to need to know how many hours, all right, of this firewall, how many hours that firewall is going to have to resist here for a particular use and occupancy classifications. And if we go over to fire barrier, now if they ask fire barrier, okay, that could be a different number. So make sure that you understand there's something called a firewall and there's something called a fire barrier, and those could be a different requirement. And like I said, we're not going to spend a lot of time in Chapter 7. Okay, there is some fire. It's all about fire resistance. If you get some stuff about fire resistance, there's a good chance it's going to be in here. Just be aware of it. Okay. We're going to move to Chapter 8, which is interior finishes. All right, interior finishes. What I want you to find here is this flame spread index. You have a Class A, a Class B, a Class C. Flame spread index 0 to 25, and a smoke develop index, they call it, at 0 to 450. So Class A is low, Class B gets a little higher, and Class C is a little higher as well. So make sure that you can find that. And the reason that's kind of important is when you flip over to this page here, once again, your use and occupancy classification, and then it tells you A, B, C, or D, what they have to be. So as you can see under this non-sprinkled, you don't have a sprinklers, you're going to have a higher level of flame spread index and smoke spread index. So basically, this is the table that you're going to use for that particular question. All right. Acoustical ceiling requirements. Suspended acoustical ceiling shall be installed in accordance with provisions of ASTM and so on and so forth. So keep that in mind. I want you to look at 804.4.2 minimum critical radiant flux. We talk about radiant flux in all occupancies, interior floor finish and floor covering materials and enclosures, stairways, ramps, or corridors, rooms or spaces not separated from corridors by partitions, okay, shall withstand a minimum critical radiant flux. The minimum critical radiant flux shall not be less than Class 1 in groups 1, in these groups right here in Class 2, and so on and so forth. So keep, you might want to be able to find that as well. We're talking about radiant flux there. Let's look back up just a little bit, 803.13.4. An interior wall or ceiling finish material that is not more than a 1/4 inch thick shall be applied directly onto the wall, ceiling, or structural element without the use of furring strips, and shall be suspended away from the building element to which that material is applied. Okay, so there you go. Just some good information that's going to help you on test day.